This is Stephanie Morissette, and as promised, we are bringing you the different owl vocalizations that we were unfortunately unable to play the night of the owl program. And so this edition is to give the vocalizations for the different owls that we discussed. The first one that we're going to be listening to today is the barred owl. The first two that we're going to play are the most common calls from a mating pair. The next vocalization we are hearing will be a mated pair of barred owls, and they're just displaying affection towards one another. The next call is what naturalists generally call in the field the monkey call, which you will be able to recognize the similar sound here in just a moment. This is one of their alarm calls. It's more of a territorial call, and it is quite spooky if you're on a night hike and trying to call in owls in the night. Owl is the second of one of the more numerous species of owls that we have in Indiana. The first one was the barred owl, which we just heard. So our next owl here is the great horned owl, and the first hoot that we're going to hear is their typical vocalization. The next sound that we're going to hear is actually it's a pair of great horned owls, and in reference to when we spoke about the great horned owl in the program, I mentioned that there was a distinct difference in the male versus the female pitch in the sound of their vocal cords. So take a listen to this. So that pair, the deeper call was the male and the higher pitched call was the female. The next two sounds we're going to hear, the first one is of an excited pair. Now what that excitement may be, perhaps whether it's in the territory or what have you, this is some sounds they make when they're pretty excited, and that will flow right into their alarm call, which would be something is threatening their immediate safety. The screech owl is the third most predominant species of owl that we have in Indiana. And these little guys are really cute. Like I mentioned, they're only 5 to 6 inches tall, approximately. There are two different color morphs, the rust colored and then the brownish gray colored. The first sound we're going to hear is what I call the little whinny, and to me it sounds like a miniature horse. And the final screech owl sound that we're going to listen to is, this is when there is a threat, perhaps to their nest or in an immediate surrounding. This is what their bill snapping sounds like, one of the many different sounds they can make. And here is probably the scariest owl sounds that we'll be hearing, the barn owl. In the program I talked about, there's becoming less and less habitat, old barns and old buildings for the barn owl to nest in. And some of the sounds they make are just terrifying. So the first one is their typical call, which is more or less a scream. So be prepared, please. And lastly, this is the sound of juveniles contacting the parents. Here's our little saw-whet owl. These guys are rather reclusive, and so you really don't see them very often at all. Their little cat-like calls just make them so precious. And here we have the first one. Here's the short-eared owl. We're going to begin with a male call. Here we next have one of their barks. And the following two are alarm calls. Our long-eared owl, typical call. And lastly, a male sending out an alarm call. Beep. 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 Well, we really hope you enjoyed this addendum to our OWL program. So all the different OWL vocalizations that were promised are now here for your listening pleasure. We hope that you tune again to our next programs. Just keep popping in on Crawfordsville District Public Library's website, or check us out on Facebook, Crawfordsville District Public Library, and we always have different events happening. Just click on the events tab and you can see what we have coming up in the near future. Again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.